Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here, and today we're going to take a look at creating 3D text inside of Element. So here's how this works. We've got our camera here, and we've got this really impressive looking text. Now, we scrub through, we can see we have animation on each of the characters. We can go into the Element setup, and we can play around with the rotation, can change it, animate it, do some really fun stuff. Now, the question is, how do we create 3D text? So here's how it works. Let's delete that. So now we just have a plain background. What I'm going to do is create a new solid. And then we'll choose Effect, Video Copilot, Element. Now, I want to create some text. So what we need to do is take the text tool, click in your comp, and just type something. And then if we go back to Element, we'll go down to the custom layers and we'll choose a custom text layer. So we'll bring that open, select the fuse text layer, and that's it. You can also use a layer with a mask on it as well. So we can just shut off the text because Element is going to do all of the work of creating the 3D text. So we'll jump into the scene setup, and here's the tricky part. There we go. We're done. Basically, that's all there is to it. That's how we can create our title. We can put material on it, and it's looking good. Now, I recommend, if you do any titles, is check out the Pro Shaders expansion pack, because some really good materials inside of here for making text look amazing. So you can just throw some different shaders onto the surfaces. You can even turn on the show ambient occlusion, and I'll just add a little bit of shading inside of the preview. Now we've created this bevel, but how can we edit the settings? Well, you can click on the extrusion object, and we have a couple of basic settings here that I want to go over. First, the custom path automatically is selected the first custom path. In this case, it's our text layer. There's also a path expand that allows you to grow the edges or shrink them. So that's pretty handy. And then you have the path resolution. We'll set this to wireframe, and the resolution allows you to change, the amount of detail in the polygon. So if you have a really high detail font, you can use ultra, and that'll keep everything looking pretty smooth. So high is pretty good, and we'll go ahead and shut the wireframe off. So how do we edit the bevel options? Well, here's how it works. If you have an extrusion object, the material also doubles as the bevel settings. So I can come into the material and start adjusting the size of the bevel. I can turn the curve amount down and make it, if I turn it, say, down to 0. Then I've got a bit of a chiseled kind of title. Now, this is looking pretty good. I could come over here, hit OK, and now my text is a fully rendered object in my scene. Looks pretty nice. I can move the lights around and make some other tweaks. I can even animate the object simply by going into the group 1 where the object is, go down to the particle look, and turn on multi-object. So each of these pieces can be broken up. So if we turn that on, now we have access to things like random rotation, as well as things like displacement. Now in this case, they're all on the same axis except for the x-axis. So we can, track the objects in a kind of a cool way. We can scatter the pieces randomly. And, that's kind of a cool thing. All right. Now, of course, we can keyframe all of these properties and create some great looking animations. Now, let's go back into the scene setup and take a look at a couple more advanced situations. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over to the extrusion model, change the bevel copies from 1 to 2. So now we see another material has appeared. So if I select that, I can now adjust the bevel for that second material. So let's say I could extrude this out further. And so now we can create multiple bevels. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you want to expand the edges if you want it to be outside, or decrease the edges so it'll be on the inside. Now, I could do some cool things with this idea. For example, I could take another material, drop it on that bevel, and so now I start creating multiple levels Well, we don't have to stop there. We could add yet another copy. All right, so this opens up a lot of possibilities. Something else I could do is I could take this metal bevel here now, and let's say I'll bring the extrusion down really small. Well, let me turn up the expand edges so that it breaks through on that surface. And then I can maybe bring the extrusion down really low. That's kind of an interesting look. I could play around with the bevel size. Now, here's the other cool thing, is I can offset the Z position. So I can slide it forward and even make it look like it's hovering in front of the title. So some really cool opportunities for editing the bevels with those various bevel controls. I can even say make a third bevel, and this might get a little crazy, but I just want to show you this. Let's extrude it. So there it is, we can see it now. And let's go down to the translucent materials, and let's take an illuminated material, maybe this red material, and drop it on there. So now we've created a really cool look with a lot of detail, and we did it all in just a couple of minutes. So once that object is created, we can really do some fun stuff with it. So we can change the bevel size. We could turn the extrusion down really low and then bring the Z position forward again. So now that creates kind of an interesting look. And the other thing you'll notice is if I select this top bevel, I have an option to turn on bevel backside. And so that creates a bevel on both sides of the text. So that looks really nice. So this looks really cool. Now, what about all that animation stuff that I was doing outside of the plugin? Well, let's hit OK. And let's turn up the random rotation. Well, Element is going to keep all of those pieces together as one object. So it's nice and easy to animate. Let's go back in and take a look at a few more ideas. So this is a preset and it's looking pretty good. Let's say we want to save the preset. Well, right click on the model and choose Save as Bevel Preset. And it'll go ahead and save it into your bevel folder. Now keep in mind, it'll take a screenshot of whatever is in the preview as your thumbnail. So here's what I'll do is I'll come up here to the bevels, and we've got a bunch of great bevels already ready to go. So how do we use these? Well, we just take them and we drop them onto the preview, and it switches it out for the new bevel. And you can also just drag it over on the object as well. But you can come into each one of these bevel presets. We'll turn the environment on here so we can see this. And each one of these can be edited. So I can go into, again, the Pro shaders, which are, a separate product, but are great for these types of things. And I could go in and take a material and drop it onto the different channels. I could make my own custom looks, basically. Hopefully I would do a better job. Maybe we'll get rid of that amber. And we're really creating some great looking titles in like 2 seconds. So, you could take these bevel presets and just start editing them. And in fact, I recommend it. There's, a lot of great looking ones, some simpler ones, as well as some, smoother rounding looking ones. Let's see, we've got the universal. It's got a nice gold look in there. I really like this gold rim one. Seems like a law firm would use this for something, so I don't know. Now, one last important thing that's going to make a big difference, the environment. So if we click on that, we can actually change this to a bunch of different environment presets. So this is going to make a big difference on how the materials look. So we can maybe click on a few different ones. So if we bring this up, as you switch it, you'll start to see how it looks. So like the garden one is, really green. We can see this background, but if we shut that off, you get a sense for what that's going to look like. But the environment is going to make a big difference with how things look, especially when you have reflective types of objects. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully you guys can create some amazing fast text, and hopefully this tutorial is giving you those ideas. So my name is Andrew Kramer. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.